chicken wing, hot dog and bologna, chicken and macaroni, chilling with my homies, Mark and Hunter.
Sweet, I'm a homie. Nice.
There is a reason that we made Kevin sing that. We are back with the second part of our winter car tips prep, and it's the couple days eve before the AFC Championship against the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chokers. Yeah,
the choker. Oh man, I hope so.
But anyway, we got to share what we did today in the shop. It was pretty cool. I want Hunter to talk about that.
Okay.
He did a great job.
It was pretty sweet. So, because the Bills have such a big game going on, we figured we'd throw a little, Bills-themed party for lunch at the shop Friday before the weekend. Be fun. So, first thing that comes to mind when you think of Buffalo, food-related, is chicken wings. So, we put together a little local chicken wing competition, in a sense. We got chicken wings from 4 different pizza shops. We got each of their Buffalo medium.
How many dozen per shop?
I got 240 wings today.
Yeah.
So
Total.
He's like, Dad, that lunch was pretty expensive.
Yeah. Well, my dad was in a meeting with somebody, my aunt was somewhere, and I was tasked with getting chicken wings, and it's starting to total up, and I'm like, I hope they know what we're doing here.
He was left unsupervised with the corporate credit cards.
We spent over $400 on chicken wings today.
Yeah,
so
but you can't leave me with the card, a Bills jersey, and chicken wings on the agenda.
And no tables were broken.
No tables were broken.
Yeah, we didn't break a table.
Not yet.
Oh.
There's always tomorrow.
There are plans in place if things happen.
Just remember, Hunter, workman's comp.
There are things in place. But so we got 4 different places. We each had them prepare 30 of their Buffalo medium wings, so just standard Buffalo. And then I had each of them essentially dealer's choice of what sauce they wanted to showcase as the other option. So we got 30 of the Buffalo from each place, 30 of the specialty sauce from each place. We got everybody to line up. Everybody got 1 wing, so 8 wings total. And we ate them all and judged who had the best Buffalo wing and who had the best specialty wing.
And I'm just going to share who the winner was the best.
Might as well.
I only know was it the same place for both?
It was the same place for both. It was an overwhelming vote.
Yep.
So Mark's Pizzeria won
by a landslide
for their Carolina Gold, right?
Yep.
Carolina Gold chicken wings.
I can't remember if it was Carolina or it's California.
No,
it was Carolina.
Carolina
Gold.
Carolina Gold.
Okay.
That was good.
I kept wanting to see Carolina Reaper, and that would have been
and then
the Buffalo.
Their medium Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean
they won by a landslide.
Yeah, everybody. All the wings were good.
Yeah, they were.
I actually don't think there was one wing I disliked from
the
from the
they
bunch.
were all good.
But Mark's did a great job.
Mark's was not the least expensive.
Mark's was not the least expensive,
but it was not the most expensive.
Wasn't the most.
But it was the best.
It was the best.
So anyway, that was our chicken wing story. So it has nothing to do with winter tire and car and stuff prep. But anyway.
You got to find some joy in the winter days.
That's right. Yep. So there are, I bet you a lot of people don't know this. And I'm going to talk about, first of all, real quick, I got to get this out of the way. Grease and Glamour Podcast is a podcast brought to you by the most awesome Universal Imports of Rochester. That is our family company, Hunter and I, my parents, my father, who started the company with my mother 40 years ago. We're celebrating 40 years in business this year. My sister, my nephew, my wife, my mother, we are all there along with a total of 28 team members to help you with any of your car needs. Whether you're looking to buy a car, service your car, collision work, we do it all. We want to be your one-stop shop. We want to be an advisor for you. We just want to be the name that you think of when it comes to anything for your car. So visit us at universalimports.com, or you can call us at 585-381-8677. That is 585-381-8677, or you can text us at that number as well. We're always looking forward to finding a way to help you with any of your car needs. So, okay, there. Now we got that out of the way.
Not only just your car needs, we're chicken wing experts
Right,
now.
yeah.
So if you need a suggestion,
Yes.
we know what's out there.
It's on the up and up.
Yes.
So
You can call us for chicken wing
yeah,
recommendations.
that's right. might be a funny phone call, but I'll go over it with you guys.
So, there was this time, I'm thinking back a long time, I used to have to do a lot of driving to the auto auction. And when I say the auto auction, back in the day, there really was one auto auction that was the auto auction, and that was Mannheim Auto Auctions in Pennsylvania. That was the original Mannheim Auto Auction. There are Mannheim Auto Auctions all over the country now, but back then, there was one. And that was like a 6-hour trip from Rochester to Manheim, PA, in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania.
You used to do that a lot.
Every other week. It was drive down on Wednesday afternoon and drive back on Thursday after the sale, and it was just a whirlwind. You'd be at the auction all day. In the summer, it was wicked hot. In the winter, it was cold, and you didn't know what you were getting into driving. And you would have to drive through the hills of the middle of Pennsylvania, like just north of Williamsport. Between Mansfield and Williamsport, there's kind of like this mountain range, for lack of a better term. And the weather really would change. If once you got south of that mountain range, the weather was better. North of it, could have been a whole different thing. And and I have two stories about coming up on that mountain pass there, just north of Williamsport. And the first one, I was with one of our service advisors, and this is 20 years ago. And we're driving back from the auction, and it's late. It's like maybe 7, 8 o'clock at night, and we're driving through, and it's narrow. It's just one lane in either direction going through this mountain pass. Well, a truck had slid and blocked the whole road, and the snow was coming down at a pretty intense rate, and we were just standing. We were just stuck. We couldn't do anything. In fact, you couldn't even just turn the car around and go back the other way, because the other lane was across like a valley. So it was like a separated
Yeah,
thing.
so you're waiting.
Yeah, so like an hour or two later, the police actually blocked off the road down at the bottom of that pass, so that we were allowed to turn around and come back down the wrong way.
Gotcha.
So now we're driving back down towards Williamsport, which is probably like 30 miles from us, and we pull off this exit. This is really the middle of nowhere. There's nothing there. Well, we see this little convenience store, looks like it's open, and so we stop there and we actually go inside, and there's this older lady standing at the counter, and we said, "Is there a hotel or a motel near here that we could stay for the night?" And she says, "No, you'd have to go back to Williamsport." And we kind of didn't want to drive 30 miles back to Williamsport, knowing that we have to go. Still, we're tired. I mean, 30 miles isn't a lot, but we were trying to just do something for the night to come back the next day. And she goes, my friend Mildred would love you boys overnight. I will call.
That doesn't sound.
No.
My friend Mildred would love you boys. She'll make you dinner. It'll be great. And so she was about to get, and we looked at each other like, I don't know if we want to go to Mildred's house. And her husband, it was like a mom and pop convenience store. The husband comes down and says, "What can we help you find boys with?" This was like so almost like in a TV show or something. And I said, "Well, your wife is hooking us up with we're going to Mildred's house." He goes, and he said, I'm going to say that the wife's name was Ethel just for the conversation. he's like, Ethel, you can't send these fine boys to Mildred's place. So we're like, we're good. We're just gonna get a Twinkie and a soda, and we'll just drive back down to Williamsport. So we did not wind up staying at Mildred's place, and then we were able to get home the next day. But back then, they didn't have all the apps that they have now, and another time coming up that same pass, the weather was getting really bad, and my father and I knew he was really the most famous weatherman in Rochester at the time, and he was a customer of ours. So instead of the apps that you have now to check weather, we just called him and said, hey, like, we were thinking about still trying to drive home. What do you think? And he literally gave us almost like a TV forecast over the phone. He's like, well, we've got a cold front moving in from the west, and it's going to come in at 25 miles an hour, and it's going to do this, and it's going to do that. And your chance of precipitation is this. And he's like telling this to us. It's an actual phone call, just him and I. But he's telling it off to us as if he's on TV doing it. It was super cool. And we just got such a kick out of the idea that like we had the local weatherman's phone number, and we called him, and he answered and gave us the play-by-play. But there are a lot of great apps for your winter driving, and aside from just regular weather apps, there are actually apps, and you can just go in the Apple the App Store or the Google Play Store and just type in like highway weather apps. And there are apps that are geared for your driving, for your trips that are weather-based. So they will give you weather information based on your driving.
That's great.
Where you're driving to. So
that's cool.
I can look some of these up if Hunter or Kevin start talking about something else in the meantime.
Man, I wish we had the story about Mildred's house to talk about.
Mildred Ethel.
That would The
infamous
viewership would probably skyrocket.
That might be a whole different type of podcast.
You think she could be next special guest?
Mildred.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there's a possibility that Mildred's no longer with us, but it's just because of time that's gone since then. So there is an app called the Drive Weather app. Provides weather forecasts and alerts for highways and routes across the United States. It's designed to help travelers plan their trips by showing them the weather conditions along their route. Features like real-time updates provides up-to-date information on weather conditions, wind speed, temperatures, and radar. Weather forecasts displays forecasts based on your departure time and route. Interactive interface, location-specific alerts. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's better than live traffic.
Well, think about that. At what point are our GPSs, like Google Maps, Apple Maps, Waze, at what point are they going to have weather elements
integrated into it?
You'd think they'd already have that.
Well, they'll probably integrate it and make you pay for it.
Yeah. But they haven't developed it yet. Why don't we just call
Google
this?
Maps
Why don't we just
Gold or
get off
something?
this podcast right now? Go start working on that, because it seems like we just found a niche
Gold
that
mine.
needs to be filled.
Yeah.
So so there are apps for weather for driving. So if we're talking about that, let's talk about some other cool. You wanted to talk about car washes, didn't you, Hunter?
Oh, yeah. Just because, this is something that I've heard a lot of varying things. I think I've formulated my own opinion on it, but I want to know what you guys think. From what I understand, car washes are really important in the winter, like super important to get the salt off of the car and like
100%.
doing the undercarriage wash. But I've also been told that if it's cold, if it's below freezing, you shouldn't do it ever, because it's just going to ice everything up.
I would agree.
So I think, I guess there's not that much to debate about it, but
No, you got to get your car washed.
Yeah,
but it's important.
When it's above 30 degrees, get your car washed. When it's below 30 degrees, don't.
Yeah, right. But I also think a lot of people, too, think that car washes are irrelevant in the winter, because it's like, oh, I'll get my car washed and then it's going to look like garbage in 5 minutes. It takes no time to make the car look dirty again in the winter, but really what's important is just getting the salt washed off of it every couple of weeks, just so it's not building up.
Right.
Like,
It's not even just the salt; it's clearing off your sensors. Because in Audis, the pre-sense, they'll
for sure.
If there's dirt on it, it won't sense anything and it'll turn it off.
Work. Yeah.
Well, I'll go a little bit extra on you. So glass, right? So all your side glass, back glass, I would wax the inside and outside of all your glass in the car. So think about like Rain-X, rain protection. So you can't wax the front of a windshield because it won't allow the wipers to do a good job in gripping
cleaning
and wiping your windshield. So you can't wax the outside of your windshield. You can wax the inside of your windshield. So if you really want to get like no streaks, wax the inside of your windshield. It also helps keep that that surface so slippery that things don't stick to it. Like just, and I'm not going to say smoke like cigarette smoke because I'm hoping that most people aren't doing that anymore in their cars. But I know there are still people. But just over time, how your glass gets that like fog on it.
Yeah.
And you go, how is it got all this grit on the windshield? The wax will help that from sticking to it. Wax the inside of the glass, the outside of the glass. I actually think it even helps with the defrosting of it. Wax all your side windows. That is like the best. That is better than Rain-X because you've waxed it. Water's going to bead right off of that, just like wax does on your paint.
Yeah. And it'll help at night when you're driving at night and your mirror's not, your glass isn't all fogged up and you can actually see.
And the water runs right off of your side glass. And then you do a like a Rain-X type of thing. There's a lot of different brands out there. BG has the stuff. Rain-X is probably the most popular.
Well known, yeah.
But Rain-X your windshield and wax all your other windows. That's helpful. Wax your rims, your wheels. Not your tires, your wheels. If you wax your wheels, it helps from brake dust sticking to them. And you can just hose them off easier. So if you want your car to look clean, but it's really cold out and you don't want to run it through the car wash, if your wheels are waxed, you may just be able to just take a hot bucket of water and just kind of get the salt and stuff off of your wheels to just make them look better.
Do it to your wheels, not your glass. You'll crack the glass with hot water.
Yeah, don't do that. Right? Yeah.
Have you seen some of those videos?
Oh yeah.
Like I've seen videos of people taking like a boiling pot of water and throwing it on their windshield to like get the ice off.
Cracks.
And it just like shatters.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also like, come on. I mean, a little common sense probably would tell you not to do that. But
well, I think it's also the case if it's super cold out and you have a very warm insulated garage and you're going from any massive temperature change is going to do weird things to your glass, to tires, to tire pressure lights, all those kinds of things.
I don't know the the actual like science behind it. It seems legit, but we've seen a lot of cracked windshields and like damaged windshields, damaged glass when it's cold. I mean, I'm assuming it's just more fragile when it's cold. I would think.
Windshields definitely crack more in the winter. Yeah.
I don't know specifically if that is true, but that's my feeling. Is that we see a lot more of that.
And there's nothing you can do about a crack. Right. A chip in a windshield you can fix potentially.
Right.
Even sometimes bigger chips are fixable. They have an epoxy that they inject into that thing, and as long as they can get the epoxy into that whole part of it, not only does it make that chip way less visible, in some cases it completely takes it away, but it seals it so it can't crack. I would say that if you have a big enough chip and it's in your line of vision and you have windshield coverage, glass coverage, which most people do with their insurance, and it's almost always, I don't think I've ever seen one associated with a deductible. If I have a big enough chip and it's in my line of sight, I'm getting my glass replaced.
Right.
And then with that, I'm going to segue that into ADAS calibration. So you've heard us talk about it on the podcast before, but just to touch on it really quick, all these newer cars, people don't realize they have tons of cameras and sensors. You've got a backup camera. In a lot of cases now on the newer cars, you have a forward-facing camera. You have radar sensors that sense for adaptive cruise control, collision warning, lane departure, blind spot monitoring. These are all things that require sensors and cameras to take care of doing all that heavy lifting. Well, your car is driving every day on roads and jostling around and moving, so it stands to reason that over time, those cameras move out of position a little bit. And when they do, they won't cause warning lights to come on. They just won't be giving the computer accurate information, which then could actually, how does a lane departure warning work? When it sees you going out of the lane, the car pulls you back in. Well, it doesn't do that by magic. It pulls you back in by applying the brake on the other side to pull you back into the lane. Well, what if your camera's out of alignment for those things? You could potentially have your brake applying without your knowledge and wearing down your brake or wearing a tire because it's trying to pull you in. These are sort of things that you don't realize are happening, but then you go into the shop and you wonder why the left brake is
only one side
is worn down and we see it all the time. We see it all the time that one side of the brakes are worn down more than the other side. And usually that is usually it'll be the right side of the car where you see it worn down more because the right side is where the crown of the road goes down, so where you would drift off the road. So it is important with these newer cars that those cameras get calibrated. In fact, so important that some of the car manufacturers have mandated that when a car comes in for an alignment that those cameras and monitors and sensors get calibrated. So that is called, the terminology is ADAS. A-D-A-S. Hunter, give me an A. What's it stand for?
Advanced.
Give me a D. What's it stand for?
Drivers.
Give me an S. What's it stand for?
We're back on A.
Oh, A.
I just got through. I was like, wait, whoa. It's Advanced Drivers Assisting Systems.
Yeah, okay. So that's what
Too
that
many
is.
chicken wings today.
Yeah. It's important. It's really important. A lot of shops don't even have the tool to do it. We do. Most. In fact, I would probably say all franchise dealers have it because they have to. And a lot of independents have it now, but there are still quite a few that don't. That does not mean it is not important to get done on your car. So consider that. And if you hear a service advisor recommend it to you, it is not snake oil. It is a real thing that really needs to be done. Whether it needs to be done once a year or once every other year, that's potentially up for debate. But
I think what's important is whether you're talking to someone at our shop or any other shop, if it's something that's being recommended to you, more times than not, it is legitimate. And all I would ask is for you to just ask questions.
Yeah.
And, like if you're on the phone with me, ask questions about it because
Google it.
Yeah, Google it. There's a lot of videos about it. It's hard to keep up with all of the new things that are supposed to be done on cars now because there's so many systems. And if you don't know about it, it's easy to neglect it. So just ask questions. I think it's important.
You know what would be a funny name for a car repair shop? Google it car repairs.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, so let's talk. Let's end this one on a little bit of a fun thing. Do you guys have any recommendations for our listeners for a winter getaway trip? Now, I don't mean winter getaway like drive in your car that has good tires and has a good battery and drive it straight to the airport, park it, get in a plane, and fly to Florida. Not that trip. What's a good winter getaway trip that keeps you in the winter elements, that you can drive your now safe winter car, your safe car that is prepped and ready for winter, and enjoy the winter?
So many local spots. Go to Skinny Atlas. You can go to Buffalo.
All right. What do you?
Is there such thing as enjoying the winter?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I struggle with that.
I have a spot. I'm gonna end the podcast with my recommendation. I'm gonna do like an advertisement for this trip. But I want to hear why Kevin wants to send our listeners to Skinny Atlas.
Well, it's very scenic, very old school, old time buildings. My wife and I were just there for their Dickens Village event, where it was very old school, very old time. Like, what's his name? The grouchy guy.
Ebenezer Scrooge?
Yeah, Scrooge was walking down the street, yelling at everybody.
Was he?
Oh yeah, it was great. But it was just it's right
what
down
was
the
the
road.
little kid's name with the
Timmy?
Yeah, Timmy.
Timmy Crutch Timmy?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was about an hour away, and it's cute.
It is a nice town.
It's a nice little town.
Little
nice
shops,
getaway.
shops.
Yeah, great food, great scenery.
Yeah, it's right off the thruway.
Yeah, right on 520 out.
Hunter, you got a place? You're still thinking?
Yeah, man. I'm like, when it comes to snow and cold, I get real boring really fast.
Aren't you going tubing tomorrow?
Well, yeah, there's some tubing, that's going on. It's like sledding. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, man, when it comes to snow, I live for Sundays to watch the Bills. So I guess my recommendation would be to go to a Bills game.
Go to a Bills game.
I mean, there is totally a different element to the Bills game when it's cold and snowy. You gotta dress right. You gotta know what you're getting into, but the atmosphere of that is crazy.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Man, it was so much fun last year. It was Bills Dolphins snowy game, and everyone was just chucking snowballs at the Dolphins.
Yeah,
it was great.
I think the Bills Mafia got a bad rap for that though. That we were not very nice.
It was actually, you know what? I don't think this was aired on TV, but the referee in the middle of the game threatened to penalize the Bills if the fans continued to throw snowballs.
Yeah, and
so all the Bills fans were like, "Oh man, okay, maybe we should stop." You know who started throwing the snowballs? The Dolphins fans. They were like, "Oh, here's our chance."
It's football, it's all good. My recommendation, because I did this trip a couple years ago with my wife, and this really was awesome. This was a great winter getaway. The Poconos, but not just not go to those weird like 70s style Pocono resorts. Not that they're weird. I mean, they're probably fine, but we went to a place called the French Manor. Now, this is a cobblestone mansion that a family bought, turned it into kind of like a bed and breakfast. They built 2 more buildings next to it, so they have maybe they've got 15 or 20 rooms total. They have some in the mansion and some in these 2 buildings. Indoor pool. It's on this like secluded private lot, which is like maybe 10 or 20 acres with trails. Super cozy. The rooms are awesome. Right down the street from it, 10-minute drive, is the most awesome German restaurant, and it's the Nürnberger Beer House, where you could get just really authentic German food, have a very, very, very nice atmosphere. Down the street from that is the Mount Airy Lodge, which is like this old casino resort in the Poconos. It's been there forever. It used to be like this really big stomping ground for people that came from the city, and it's still there, and it's kind of got charm because of its age. It's just nice. But you're also really close to the Delaware Water Gap, which is an awesome place for hiking. And Mount Tammany, which is kind of right there, it's part of the Appalachian Mountain Trail. You can do that whole hike in, I don't know, I think we did it in maybe 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours to the top and back down. And you go up one way and come down another way. So you're seeing scenery, you're not seeing the same scenery going down. And when you go down, you walk along like a river. Like a not a river, a creek or crick. What do you guys call them up here? Creek. Babbling brook. Very supple, Brooke. But the view from up top is, I mean, you feel like you look right into New Jersey, so you feel like you could see New York City on a clear day, and potentially you even could. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's the highest point in that area. So if you look one way, you see into Pennsylvania really deep. You look the other way, you're into New Jersey very deep. And what's best about hiking that trail in January is you don't have to worry about a rattlesnake biting you, because there are a lot of rattlesnakes up there. And I don't like rattlesnakes, so I'm all about hiking that trail in January, but you won't catch me on that trail in June. But that is a great winter getaway trip. The French Manor Inn and Spa, the Nürnberger Beer House for dinner, the Mount Airy Lodge for a little old-timey casino fun, and Mount Tammany for a hike in the Delaware Water Gap. That is maybe better than going to Florida for the week. Maybe.
I don't know.
It sounds very wintry.
It is, but it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
All right. That's what I got. That's my winter
I'll
recommendation
go to
for
Florida.
a trip. And if you take your vehicle that is prepped nicely for the winter, potentially it was prepped by the boys and girls over at Universal Imports, who can help you get your car all ready to rock and roll. I know it's like the end of January now, and we feel like winter is on its way out, but let's not forget, we still got February and March to deal with.
And sometimes April.
Yeah, but the days are getting longer, and that really feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having the sun out for a couple extra minutes a day, it's like, yeah.
So
You could say it's night and day.
It is night and day. It's
So-
a night and day difference.
So let's recap. Batteries, 4 years, start
Important.
looking. Important. Tires,
5 years.
Important.
check. Car washes, not under 30 degrees.
Somewhat important.
Can be passed on, but
Yes.
mostly important.
Oil changes every 5,000 miles.
Yes.
Tune-ups. Don't wait till 100,000 miles to do a tune-up. Not good for the car.
Right.
Check with your car experts for all the things that you need. ADAS calibrations.
Important.
Important. Going to Mount Tammany in January and not getting bitten by a rattlesnake.
Ideal.
Ideal. I would almost put that in the important column.
Well, you could put that up there with a Bills game. You know.
Important.
Important.
Very important.
Very important.
Because it's very important. I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah, we'll just end with saying do not pour piping hot water on your windshield to thaw it.
And go Bills.
Go Bills.
And for all your chicken wing needs, we are your advisors.
For all your car and chicken wing needs.
We are. I will be your car advisor and your chicken wing advisor.
All right. And we'll tell you who to root for. Until next time, this is the Grease and Glamour Podcast. Mark,
Hunter.
Kevin.
have a good one.
See ya.
See ya. Go Bills.